ECU, Private Nation, Purple and Gold family. Stand to your feet, put your crossbones up, and lean side to side. Yeah, and lean side to side. Yeah, and lean side to side. Come on, yeah. Welcome to the Island, man. It's crazy.
Welcome into the Sports Objective, Pirate Playback. What a comeback for the Pirates tonight as they beat the Thundering Herd 42-38. With us right now, we have Kyle from LaGrange. Barbara, how are you, man?
What's going on, guys?
Did you set your couch on fire tonight?
No, that's what the near fans do. I guess we could have been like West Virginia fans and done that, but huge win. I mean, that goes without saying. Biggest win in the Mike Houston era, in my opinion. You take your SMU games and your whatever else to win by 17 on the road, to come back from 17 down and win on the road at Marshall in the fourth quarter. Unbelievable. I mean, forget biggest win of the Mike Houston era. That goes right up there in East Carolina lore. Yeah, East Carolina lore with greatest comebacks ever. I mean, that to do that in the fourth quarter with 7 minutes to go, or close to 8 minutes, I guess it was. Yeah. We were still down by 17 points. So it huge win.
Bubba Rosenbaum, what's up, dude? I guess he'll be joining.
Bubba may be here in spirit only right now. He may join us in a minute. But
all right. Well, I'll give him a plot. But that was a big win. You know, Kyle, when we were talking, you know, it's I know you're young, but do you remember the Wild World of the Sports on ABC with Jim McKay?
Sure. Well, I know.
The thrill of victory and the agony of defeat. Well, last week we had the tail end. We had the agony of defeat because we had a game we felt like we should win. And this week we had the thrill of victory. Man, I'll tell you one thing, Pirate Nation, don't count this team out. Holton Ahlers had a much better game. They executed plays. How about the fact that we actually, hey, Kyle, one of my things I've been talking about that I hated with Montgomery is we had no tight ends whatsoever, a name only. And now we have our tight end. We've heard a lot about Shane Calhoun. They couldn't get the ball to him like they should have in the first couple games. Tonight, he has a coming out party of, I think it was Bubba. I'm not a numbers guy, but I think he had like 8 catches right at 100 yards off the top of my head. He had a touchdown catch. I know that our friend Terry Gallagher was talking about Zach Bird put a really big block there that not the last touchdown, but the touchdown before to get a good block there at the end for that right at the score. I'll tell you one thing right now, if you look at the Pirates, there's a lot, I've said this all season, preseason, there's a lot of 50-50 games out there. So do we have the heart to win the games? We'll find out as the season goes on. But tonight we won one of those 50-50 games, and we didn't win it last week. We did this week. We were not going to have that game. I didn't see that one coming, and we didn't. So here we are at 1-2. You got a game next week.
Yeah, we need to handle the business next week and get to 2-2. That was when you looked at the schedule before the season started. You saw the first 4 games, and I think most people you feel like we have to do it. Charleston Southern's not going to roll over for us, but you feel like you win that one. So you looked at the first 3. You looked at Marshall, South Carolina, App State. You felt like if you can win one of those, get to 2-2, you'd be in good shape. I don't think very many people thought it was going to be Marshall on the road. I think most people thought we were either going to beat App in Charlotte or win at home against South Carolina. And unfortunately didn't get it done last week against South Carolina. But what happened tonight, we opened up the offense. Guys like Shane Calhoun, who hadn't had very many catches up to this point last year or this year, step up. We get the ball in his hands. Audie Amatosho he made a couple big catches. Audie starting to show the ability we all knew he had all along as he transferred in here from UCLA. So it was good to see some guys step up. I'm going to tell you what, Keaton Mitchell, I'd get the ball in Keaton's hands as much as we could. I like throwing it to him. Obviously, you're going to hand it to him. I'd like to utilize him on special teams more. Maybe take some pressure off Snead. Snead can't do everything. Speaking of guys who have big nights, you can't ask Snead to do every damn thing. So maybe put Keaton back there returning punts and kickoffs some. The more Keaton can touch the ball, the better. So a lot of heroes. Anytime you win a game like that and you come from 17 points down, there's going to be a lot of heroes. And look, a lot of people, including me, gave Holton Ahlers a hard time, and I'd say deservedly so. You perform bad. You're going when you're the starting quarterback. You're going to get run a lot of the shoulders. You're going to run a lot of the blame on your shoulders. But when you have a game like he had tonight, he wasn't perfect. But let me tell you something. That fourth quarter, when he got hot, Holton's biggest problem is between his ears. And when Holton will get out of his own head and just play the game the way he can play it, I've seen it sporadically through his career. Like tonight in the fourth quarter, he was red hot. And when Holton is playing like that, and that's the Holton Ahlers, you need to see all year. Yeah, you ain't going to play perfect every game, but he needs to reach back at moments like this. When he's in those games and he's struggling and he's forcing things and trying to make things happen, he needs to reach back in his folder and remember games like this. Remember that performance at Tulsa last year in the loss. He can do this. Holton can be a successful quarterback at this level, but he's got to do it consistently. And hopefully tonight will be a big step forward. A win like this can galvanize the football team. You can really galvanize a team when you come from 17 down on the road, and you can put something together because next week Charleston Southern is a game we should win. So all of a sudden you can go from 0-2 to 2-2 in a hurry, and hopefully we'll do that. I mean, look, Charleston Southern's not going to roll their helmets out there and say we bow in defeat to the Pirates. I mean, they're going to come in here and try to pull off the upset. FCS over FBS upsets happen every week. We lost to James Madison. We lost to North Carolina Central. North Carolina A&T. I'm sorry. And then last week we also saw Jacksonville State beat Florida State. So Charleston Southern's going to come in here and take their shot at us, and we would need to be ready and get to 2-2.
No question about it. I tell you one thing with the, you're absolutely right about the very fact that we had a situation where moving the football. And what's great is when these guys make these catches, then it opens up the running game. And when you're one dimensional and everybody knows that you can only run the ball because guys aren't catching it, then they just focus on the running backs. But when when you keep that defense honest by the very fact of, oh God, we got to worry about all those, including, Calhoun with 8 catches like Bubba had tonight, 8 out of 9. He had 100.
Bubba had 8 catches tonight. All right.
No, I'm talking about Calhoun.
Oh, say Calhoun. Okay.
Yeah, Calhoun. There you go. Thank you, Bubba. 9 targets. He had 8 receptions, 112 yards, and a touchdown. Now
and that opens up so much more of the offense. And now you can throw the ball down the middle to the tight end, and that's going to help your running game big time. So having him step up and look, we all knew him and Jones from Oklahoma. They both can be very effective for us in the passing game, and we finally saw it tonight. And hopefully we'll continue to see us utilize the tight end heavily in the offense from here on out as we play through the rest of the season.
No doubt, as Bubba mentioned, best tight end performance since Bryce Williams in 2015. No doubt about it, Bubba. And we've been saying that all along that position is so important for many different reasons. And it's been, to say it's underutilized is the understatement of the century. But anyway, good performance overall. You look at now, like you said, you look at the schedule, and the only game that scares you on the schedule, not to say that we're going to win out, like you said, but the Cincinnati game is the one that, you might say, wow, but the UC with Dylan Gabriel is going to be out for a number of weeks, maybe. I don't think he's going to be, but
we haven't got 100% confirmation how long Gabriel's going to be out, and we're certainly not taking delight in that. But you feel like if we play like here's the thing: if Marshall's as good as they're supposed to be, that was a very good win over a very quality football team. So, do you feel like UCF is unbeatable without Dylan Gabriel? No. Do you feel like we can't go to Houston and win? No. Do you feel like we can't beat Tulane at home? No. Winning that game tonight just gives you so much more confidence. Now, are we going to win all those? No, of course not. But you certainly feel like you have a chance. And,
right.
I think most people right now, when you look at the Temples of the world, you look at the South Floridas of the world, you look at, the Navies of the world, I think all 3 of those games, as we sit today, the Pirates would be at least a touchdown favorite in. So there's some opportunities out there. If we can get to 2-2 next week, there'll be opportunities when we get into conference play. you can see a path to 6 wins in a bowl game.
Yep.
But first things first, we need to handle our business against Charleston Southern to get to 2-2. You can't win 3 before you win 2. And next up is
Yep.
Charleston Southern.
No doubt about it. We're going to do like the players. We're going to enjoy it tonight, and then tomorrow we'll have Charleston Southern on the clock. And I tell you what, folks, buy your tickets. Buy your tickets right now. Well, you have to go online at ecpirates.com, but let's go ahead and pack Dowdy Ficklin. Let's have those tailgates rocking pregame. It's a 6 o'clock game. There's no excuse why we can't have a rowdy Dowdy. And you can have, especially, let's give the players what they deserve. They got a big time win on the road. Kyle, I was thinking about you and Bubba. You and I both have talked many times. So has Bubba. The three of us about the going back to the '90s with Logan. That let's talk. And I know that Bubba put on the screen with Richard Allsbrook. How about and Brian B. Pace put up there about how about Owen Daffer with that onside kick? Is that not
Oh
Logan-esque?
my God,
Logan-esque, baby, Logan-esque.
excellence in execution. Yeah, Logan was always good with onside kicks for sure. But yeah, great to kick it and recover it right down the middle of the field, right at 10 yards. It was iffy. Maybe it got touched before, but it was right at 10 yards.
Yep.
A great recovery. I was scared to death they were going to reverse that call.
That's the ball game pretty much.
And it wasn't the ball game, but without that onside kick, it was going to win the game. So, oh yeah, I get what you're saying. Had they reversed the call, yeah, most likely ball game. So yeah, Owen Dapper, yes. Thank you guys for mentioning him. Huge play. Huge play. Deserves immense credit, along with all the credit we gave everybody else. And the pick there at the end by
McMillan,
yeah, and batting it down would have done the same thing. It wouldn't have mattered, and 6 1 half does the other. But big thing is he didn't give up the touchdown, and so I'm pleased, man. Anytime, like I say, I'll say it again. When you win one like this, when you come from 17 down to the fourth, there's going to be a lot of heroes. And if we're leaving anybody else that needs to be mentioned, so guys, anybody watching right now, feel free to put them on the screen, so we can give them a little love, because haven't been enough nights like this, man. Since Ruffin's been fired, you've had your moments. NC State in 2016, UNC in 2018. SMU last year, but they've been here and there, and this is a real special one tonight. I wholeheartedly think this is our best win since Ruffin was fired.
No doubt. B. Pace reminded me of 1995. I was with the team at Southern Miss when Logan faked the field goal, got a pass interference, and ended up winning the game 36-35. Hey, 34 rather. Pace, B. Pace, you and I are about the same age. We were school together. You're exactly right. That's one thing. Sidebar, please put Southern Miss back on the schedule. We need a home and home with them. But anyway, that was one of the best games. That's exactly what I'm talking about with Logan.
Yeah, Chad Holcomb with the fake field goal.
Yeah,
a classic moment in ECU history.
No doubt.
Yeah, that's. I don't know that this really reminded me of that. I get why you would say that, though. I guess if it should remind anybody of anything, it should be the Peach Bowl. That's the last time I don't know of any other time we come from 17 down in the fourth. I mean, there's been some great comebacks in ECU history. Ones that come to mind: Memphis in '98. We came
with
3 touchdowns down with David Garrard, would pass for over 400 yards to get bowl eligible. Miami in '99 in Raleigh. Syracuse in '95. God, what are some other great ECU comebacks? Those are the ones that come off of the top of my head. Big moments. Houston, it was a losing season, but I remember a big comeback at Houston in '02. So there's but 17 in the fourth quarter. The only other time I remember doing that was Peach Bowl.
Yeah, I mean that's what I was telling you guys, the Peach Bowl, and I was there. I was there. I'll tell you one thing, man. Those State fans thought they had it made that day. I'll never forget. And unfortunately, I had my friend, his uncle was a State fan, graduate. So I'm sitting in the State section, and that was the greatest part, was the fact that crowd was rocking. And the fourth quarter, they were so quiet, and it was the best feeling in the world. to see that field. I mean, I still can't believe I could see that field goal where I was sitting. It was the far end of the field, and it just to go for Sheridan to go for that for a tie. Anyway, I don't want to get off of that tangent on the Beach Bowl, but I still can't understand why you would go for a tie in that game like that. But anyway, that doesn't matter, and it doesn't matter for the fact of tonight. It's not relevant. What is relevant is the Pirates are now. We have a win in the win column, big win. You got, like you said, Charleston Southern. And I tell you what, there's a lot of fans in Pirate Nation. By the way, I'm going to steal a Brian Bailey line, but if you're looking for a loan in Greenville, North Carolina, you can get one on Monday, or you have a better chance anyway. So hopefully,
things are always better. Things are always better when you win. And
yep.
East Carolina kind of the whole ship runs on Pirate football. And when you win one like this, you know, the boys are going to get. And these boys aren't used to getting pats on the back. And that's something else too. As I say again, Charleston Southern's not going to come in here and just roll over for us. So as they're getting loved up this week and getting pats on the back, and they're not used to it. So you need to keep the nose to the ground, because you sure will lose the luster off this one in a hurry if we go get upset by Charleston Southern next weekend. So
and you talk about momentum. My God, if you were to do the unthinkable like that, and then you have Tulane coming in, that game does not look good at all for your chances in 2 weeks.
We need to handle our business against Charleston Southern next week. Just handle our business. That needs to be a business trip. If we win at 21-0, 28-7, it don't matter. You're 45-21. However, we just need to handle our business and move on to the next one. And I hope, like you say, Dave, Pirate Nation's, look, the people watching this game are watching this game. The people watching our broadcast are going to be there. So we're preaching to the choir. One thing I'd ask, bring a friend with you. Bring a friend. If you got some extra tickets, make sure they get used. Saturday night should be a fun atmosphere. It's a game we should win. So it's a game, maybe a good game to introduce maybe people who have never been to an East Carolina game to. You'd rather them come when we're going to win. Weather's supposed to be nice. As right now, it's supposed to be in the 50s Saturday night. So maybe some people get excited about that hoodie weather. So let's
football weather, baby.
Let's have some fun in Dowdy Ficklin next Saturday night. And there hadn't been a lot of fun to be had in Pirate football in a long time, guys. And that SMU win was what it was, but it was the last game of the year. So this is game number 3. We just beat Marshall, and we almost beat an SEC school last week. Think about if we'd have won last week and won this one tonight. Oh my God! But it is what it is, and there's not a lot to say. There's a lot more things to analyze when you lose, because there's so many things to bitch about, so many things to pick apart. But when you win this one, you talk about the heroes, you talk about the big plays. I didn't believe we were going to do it until we did it. I don't know how everybody else felt, but I really believed that last drive, the way Marshall was moving the ball. I thought they were going to score, and we were going to end up doing all that for nothing. And credit Mike Houston for taking timeouts to reset his defense a couple times on that last drive.
Play,
he did it twice on that drive. And I tell you what, it was magical. Best way to describe it, not to sound corny, but it was that fourth quarter was magical, and to do that, on the road. Could you imagine if that was Dowdy Ficklin? Oh my God! It would have been rocking. But and I believe this is right. Somebody double check this for me, but I'm 90% sure Marshall's got to go play at Appalachian State this Thursday night. So feel bad for those guys. They got to get over this one and go on the road. I believe this Thursday night to Boone to play App State. I believe that's right.
I'm looking at it right now, but yeah, the Pirates. I tell you that we were on the brink of 0-3. Instead, we had the 1-2. And let's put up some comments here, starting with Robert. Great team win. Hell of a comeback. Thank you, Robert, for tuning in. Bubba, can you help me out with this one? How many rushing yards did we have tonight? I haven't been able to see the stats. So that we were talking about Dowdy Ficklin, the game next week.
I would imagine it was quite a few because
Chuck says.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry, I was just going to say this real fast. Chuck says concessions need to be better. John Gilbert addressed that from the helm, so that they will be better. That was just it is.
I think they're going to be better by default because we're going to have a smaller crowd. You won't have 40,000 there this week. It'll be a smaller crowd. And I also don't think there'll be as much. People are going to tailgate before this game because it's 6 o'clock kickoff, not a 12 o'clock kickoff. A lot of lunch items were being sold last Saturday. And when you combine people eating lunch at the game with having over 100 people not show up to run stands, which is what Gilbert said.
That's true.
I mean,
Have you been to Bojangles lately? Have you been to any restaurant lately?
Yeah, look, there's still no excuse. It's not going to make anybody happy, so there's no need to make excuses. So you got to do a better job. That's just the answer. And they've had 2 weeks to figure out how to do a better job. Overbooked. If you had 100 volunteers cancel, then or not volunteers. I guess they were being paid. I'm not sure. Book 300 people, and then maybe you'll have enough show up. So it is what it is. But I agree with you. The concessions need to be better, and that's something Gilbert addressed on paper, and let's see if it's addressed in the actual physical form by something being done about it this coming Saturday. And let's hope so. Let's hope so, because everybody needs to have a good experience. Right now, look, for a rare change, everybody should be pretty happy going into this game. We just did something we hadn't done in a long time, have a huge win on the road in comeback fashion, and got some goodwill going towards the football program. And hopefully we'll get a big win against Charleston Southern, getting to 2-2. And I don't need anything to screw it up, like somebody not being able to get a hot dog or a Pepsi. And so hopefully that'll be handled.
God forbid. Hey, how about this?
No, Dave, look, man. No, look, seriously. If you got kids. If you went down there and your kids were sitting up, let's say you don't have anybody with you, and you left your kids sitting up in the stands, you're like, I'm going to be right back.
I don't leave them in stands.
Well, let's just say you did. Well, okay, they were down there with you, and you're waiting in line for the entire third quarter to get a blame hot dog. Then you get up there and you're told we don't have any. That's going to piss you off. So people have a right to be pissed.
I understand that. I'm just saying that what I'm saying is the fact of one of the things that's frustrating with this whole country right now is we don't have people working. But that's a whole nother show. So I'm just saying, sure. I understand. I agree with you. I agree with you 1,000% to be pissed off.
When you charge $18,000 for.
We lost you there, Kyle. I guess.
My internet sucks. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I got you back. Yeah.
When you charge $18,000 for a Pepsi and a hot dog, people don't want to hear excuses.
How about this one? This is something we haven't talked about. Thank you, Richard, for bringing this up. Something we were going to talk about tonight, and that was, how about the SMU? Speaking of, we're talking about SMU. SMU beat La Tech, Skip's program, on a Hail Mary tonight. So
wow, I knew it was a close game.
Yeah.
Louisiana Tech lost a couple of close games early this year. They also lost a close one to Mississippi State. I guess I like Skip, so kind of feel bad for him, but good for the conference. SMU, somebody who, as of right now, is not leaving to go to the Big 12, so would like to see them. Or I'm glad they won it, I should say, but still feel bad for Skip. If you want to talk about conference games, Memphis, big win over Mississippi State.
Yep.
So pretty good night for Conference USA. It looks like Ole Miss is handling Tulane. But three nice wins that I know off the top of my head. With us beating Marshall, SMU beating La Tech, and Memphis beating Mississippi State. So that's three good wins for the conference. UCF lost a hard-fought game to Louisville last night.
Yep.
But they're leaving the league anyway, so who cares? And Cincinnati over Indiana, but again, they're leaving the league.
There you go. B. Pays and Robert both say, Richard was asking how did we do with rushing yards tonight? 176 yards on the ground. In fact, Robert chimes in as well that it was.
Yeah, we gave up a few sacks early in the game, So, of course, for whatever dumbass reason, that takes away from your rushing total.
I hate that.
So
Yeah.
I would like to see what those rushing yards are if you take those early sacks out of the game.
And here's another thing. Thanks for all the people chiming in tonight and viewing tonight, watching tonight. Justin says a win next week, Tulane becomes a pivotal game and getting 6 wins. Absolutely, Justin. I'm telling you guys.
I don't know that it's pivotal. You'd like to win it, but you can lose to Tulane and still get to 6.
It is, but that game, but being at home at Dowdy Ficklin after you've won 2 straight and you've got another that second home game.
God, of course you want to win it. Of course you want to win it, but I don't think it's pivotal. Here's why. We showed tonight we can win on the road. So you can lose to Tulane and go win at Houston. Then let's say you do that. Let's say you lose to Tulane, beat Houston, then beat Temple, South Florida, and Navy. You're in a bowl game. So I don't think the Tulane game is pivotal to a bowl, but yeah, you're right, Justin. It sure would be nice to get it.
How about this? Our buddy Brendan Shapiro, alum of the Sports Objective. Hey, Richard Allsbrook, I don't know if you remember me, but I was in your juvenile justice class a couple of years ago, and you were one of my favorite professors. I am glad you support this podcast and a huge Pirate fan like I am. Thank you, Brendan, for chiming in as always, and thank you for always supporting us behind the scenes, and he's been on the show over the years, so we appreciate him. And of course, how about this? The score to my Ole Miss, it's 40-21. Ole Miss over Tulane at halftime. We're having trouble with Kyle's having trouble with his internet, so we're going to keep rolling. And here's one that we'll address. I know Kyle's going to jump back on. Chuck asked, "How do you feel about La Tech and the AAC?" I love Skip, I really do. So obviously, it would be nice to have them in the conference. However, I don't know. One of the things we're looking at for conference-wise, I don't know how much they bring to the party as far as does it add, and we'll bring Kyle back in here. Well, I'm trying to add him back. There we go.
I tell you what, Dave, that's the disadvantage of doing a broadcast on your phone. People like to call you all hours of the night, and it boots you off.
Well, here's the question we had for Chuck as you were getting booted off. How do you feel about La Tech and the AAC, since we're talking about Louisiana Tech?
A lot of people don't realize this, Chuck. Louisiana Tech does not have a very good budget. If somebody can take the time to look it up, I bet you their budget is probably at least 10 to 15 million behind ours. And we got the lowest budget in the American. They probably have a smaller budget than Louisiana Lafayette. A lot of people, like I said, probably wouldn't realize that because you think La Tech's a better brand name. They play good football. They have for years. I'm not sure how they would compete budget wise. The American
28 million is what B-Pace is saying.
Yeah, and what does our budget pays?
45.
Yeah,
I think it's 45 or something like that, right?
I believe that's right. It's over 40. So the American right now appears to be targeting Mountain West schools and UAB. There's got to be another school because that would be 13 schools. Okay, so it's Colorado State, Air Force, Boise State, San Diego State, UAB. That would put us at 13 members. So there's bound to be one more. It's bound to be 14, which actually
what about Marshall, App State?
I don't know. I don't know who it is, but it's bound to be 14, and it makes a lot of sense because if you can get those Mountain West schools, you would like to do 2 7-team divisions for Olympic sports, basketball, etc. It makes things a lot easier for travel. From what I understand, and this is still early, there's a lot of interest from Colorado State and Air Force, so it'll be interesting where this thing goes. I think Boise and San Diego State have they've been talked about for years. They've gone back and forth with it. But I think Colorado State and Air Force they like the idea of getting into Texas.
Yeah, they like the fact that they're playing games at a more reasonable time where more people can see them. I mean, we've heard that the last 2 years with Air Force, right? If my memory serves me right. And I think we're still having trouble with Kyle's internet, but he'll pop back in here in a second or audio wise. Here's another comment. We'll see what Justin's talking about. We're talking about AAC expansion. He said, I wouldn't mind seeing Liberty in the AAC. Justin, you're right. I think that one thing about them is it would be great for us as far as travel is concerned with our volleyball teams and our Olympic sports, but also the fact that they have a lot of money and they have a lot of their facilities are fantastic. Liberty, they're one of those up and coming programs that you might be able to take a chance on, and they have, just like I said, with the money, they'll compete in the American. Let's bring Kyle back in. Kyle, Justin was saying he wouldn't mind to see Liberty in the AAC. Yeah, he's having a lot of trouble tonight. B Pays, he's talking about who he wants to see in the American. He says Air Force Academy, Army, UAB, and Colorado State. Hey, B Pays, you're spot on. Hey, I'll take those. That's fine. He says San Diego State will come, but we need to add another Mountain West school like UNLV. Well, hey, right now, I guess whatever ESPN, it's all driven by ESPN. So whatever ESPN says, as long as we can keep it at 7 million a year, whatever, 7.75, I guess it is for our TV contract, for sure. But we're still talking about the
I'm talking about
conference
expansion.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think the reason why the Mountain West teams are being talked about is because you have some value there. And I think Orasco has talked to ESPN about what they'd like. And I think that we can stay at that $7 million per school TV range that we're in now if we can get those Mountain West schools to come. I like it, and particularly if it's that many of them where you can have two distinct divisions, not only for football, but for Olympic sports. It really becomes you don't want East Carolina traveling out to San Diego to play volleyball. So if you can handle it with two 7-team divisions, like I was going to say before, I'm having some internet issues here. Colorado State and Air Force, the reason I think they're interested is because they want to get into that Texas area for recruiting, and that would be my guess. Is for if you had to put a gun to my head, it is going to be, if we get our druthers, it'll be those 4 Mountain West schools, UAB, and a Texas school to go along with SMU. It'll either be North Texas or UTSA. I'd be willing to bet you money. So we'll see what happens if those Mountain West schools end up not working out. Then I think you can see any number of combination of schools.
I like me personally. I would like to see Marshall and App in because I think
if you can't get the Mountain West schools, that's what I would probably like too.
I mean, I understand what you're saying. TV wise, we've got to do it for what?
Well, not only TV but prestige. I mean, you being associated with Colorado State, Air Force, and Boise State is a good thing. I mean, those are name brand schools. So, but I'd rather, if that doesn't work out, I'd much rather bring in Marshall, App, Southern Miss, good football schools, rather than going markets, rather than going Charlotte, Birmingham, Georgia State for Atlanta. I don't think that's the right path. I think the Sun Belt and Conference USA has proven that. The Sun Belt has risen to prominence because they made the decision to take good football schools, whereas Conference USA went after markets.
That's correct.
And it hadn't helped Conference USA with TV one bit. We were playing on Facebook tonight, and the Sun Belt's all over ESPNU and ESPN2 now. Mm-hmm. So I hope the American has, will take heed to that if Orasco don't get what he wants with the Mountain West schools.
Exactly, because you look at Marshall, you look at App and Southern Miss, for example. I know Southern Miss has had hard times, but their fan base is tremendous.
And they got budget issues too, like La Tech. But if we're going to take a chance on one, I'd much rather take a chance on Southern Miss because the history. And it's not only East Carolina. It's Memphis. It's a lot of this conference that has history with Southern Miss.
No question about it.
Tulane,
it's going to be interesting.
I mean, that's Tulane. That's the battle for the bell. I mean, that used to be a huge rivalry.
No question. I think that the fact that you were talking about the volleyball teams and all that. Well, wouldn't you love some long bus rides versus? I mean, when you're looking at going way across the country, we understand why we're why they're doing it.
Well, we wouldn't be going if you do 7-7.
And you're
Dave,
saying one
we
cross,
would never, we would probably never play Olympic sports, with some exceptions, like maybe baseball, where things
and
wouldn't work out evenly with the teams, but
yeah,
mostly you wouldn't play those schools.
and Kyle, that's a great point that I've heard once before. Not with us yet, but that's a very good point. Is the very fact is that commissioner and the conference can do a better job. I'm just saying they can make it happen where where that happens versus a whole bunch of West Coast trips or vice versa, a West Coast school coming here, where maybe it's only one time a year or like you said, not at all.
Well,
So
and football's not an issue. If football, here's how it would work: you'd have two 7-team divisions, you'd play 6 division games, you play 2 crossover games. So you'd have one team from the West Division coming here, and us we'd be going to one West Division team
right,
in football. And quite frankly, in football, it would be fun. I'd welcome the chance to play Boise State, Air Force, San Diego State, Colorado State.
yeah,
That's fun matchups.
that's
And
doable too. One
yeah,
time a year is doable.
yes, exactly. And it's same with basketball. What you would probably do is play your division teams twice. That'd be 14 games. And what do you
Yeah,
typically play in conference?
18,
17, 18 games. So yeah, so
18, I
you play
believe.
your division games twice, and then you play 3 or 4 of your teams from the other division. Um, so yeah, it's certainly very workable. But we'll have to wait and see, what happens with that. There's a lot of T's to be crossed and I's to be dotted, with conference expansion. And this could, a year from now it might not be done.
And another thing that could happen is I think, guys, I don't think we've talked about it yet. I believe that there's 2 more teams that are going to leave the Big 12.
That's
Um,
possible. That's possible.
I'm hearing Kansas and Oklahoma State are leaving. So that's the
I've
rumor
heard
I've been
lots of
hearing.
different things, Dave. That's entirely possible.
I'm hearing Kansas is going to go to the Big 10 and
Well, that's what
Oklahoma
they
State. I
want.
know
That's what they want, but I don't see the value in it. I mean, Kansas football's atrocious. Yeah, they got great
basketball would be great.
basketball. Well, yeah, but sure, Kansas basketball's elite, but basketball doesn't drive TV revenue. So
Their football
I think
program is atrocious.
I think look, if the Big Ten wanted to have Kansas, they'd have had Kansas a long time ago. So what are they going to do now just to be nice? I mean, so yeah, I think it's possible. I think it's far more likely that the Pac-12 ends up deciding to add a couple after all. And there's one thing I hadn't heard anybody talk about, and I brought it up here. Look, Texas and Oklahoma want to go in the SEC before 25. The SEC wants Texas and Oklahoma before 25, but the exit fees if they leave the Big 12 early is ridiculous.
Yeah.
So it's like $40 million per school or something like that. So I think something that hasn't been talked about. What if the SEC decides to invite in 2 more Big 12 schools and kind of
I've heard that. I've heard that. Yeah.
you kind of force the hand? So I don't know, but anyway, it's kind of funny how we got of all things. I did not think we'd be talking conference expansion tonight after that win.
How about this, Chuck? Let's be fair to everybody. Chuck is saying add Rice for baseball.
If you're talking about if we do the 2 divisions and you're saying Rice, that's the Texas school.
Yeah.
You know what? They may end up coming up as being mentioned because they are very prestigious.
Houston's
Houston's a huge market. We're losing the Houston market. They're a very prestigious university academically. They got good baseball. Football's horrible. So yeah, if you're going to add a Texas school, if the Western expansion happens, yeah, I mean, I could definitely see Rice over UTSA or North Texas.
How about this?
By the way, who was that that mentioned? Who was that asked that?
Chuck.
Rice baseball has been horrible the last 3 or 4 years. Their coach retired, and they have been the drizzling shits ever since.
How about this for Pays, saying that West Virginia ended up in ACC, I believe, after 2025. Here's the thing, Pays, you and I think logically, and so does Kyle and Bubba. The problem is the ACC is like on an island. Everybody else sees that as a a natural go-to. They've got great fans.
I
The
actually think West Virginia could do well in the SEC. I
oh
think
no,
they. I think they
yeah,
may.
exactly.
Yeah.
They
I,
what I'm saying is ACC is not thinking logically because you look at their fan base.
well, they
Their
don't look.
basketball and
They
their
wouldn't have
football is
taken. They
good.
wouldn't have taken
Their
Virginia Tech.
baseball is good,
They
and they
wouldn't have taken. They wouldn't have taken Virginia Tech if their hands wasn't forced. They
and
think West
Louisville.
Virginia. Yeah. They think well Louisville
Louisville
maybe.
is not an academic school by their standards, but they still took them because they were the best. That they knew they were. Swafford was smart. They
Well,
knew they were going to
and
lose Maryland to the Big Ten, and they picked it.
also Louisville's a good sized media market, and it's and there's some sex appeal there with their basketball, and at least historically, and West Virginia, they got a bad reputation. Their fans, they burn couches. So I don't know. I understand why people say them to the ACC, but man, well, again, if they wanted West Virginia, they would have taken West Virginia. What are they going
That's
to
what
do?
they. Yeah.
Are they doing it just to be nice? Are they doing it because the SEC expanded? Or if you're saying they're going to take West Virginia because the SEC expanded, okay. Um, Otherwise, they could have taken West Virginia 10 years ago. They could take them any time. At no point in time would West Virginia had rather been in the Big 12 than the ACC. So,
Yep.
um,
They wanted it years ago. Yeah,
yeah.
for the ACC.
And I will say this for West Virginia. Um, if the Big 12 keeps Power 5 status, they're way better off now because they were never going to take over Texas and Oklahoma for the top school in the Big 12. They can win the Big 12 as it's going to be going forward.
Yep.
And now they got two schools in their area with Cincinnati and UCF, relatively speaking, on the East Coast anyway, with UCF and Cincinnati, Ohio and West Virginia border. So the new layout of the Big 12 to me should be more appealing to West Virginia than anybody.
But they don't want to be in that conference.
If they keep sure, you want to be in the best conference you can, but if they get the opportunity to go to the ACC, they're going to go, of course. But what I'm saying is, if the Big 12 keeps Power
Right.
5 status, West Virginia may find that their new Big 12 is a good home for them. But yeah, it doesn't matter. They still rather go to the ACC because it's more money to be made.
Well, and the fact the ACC folks are saying that they're looking at. I mean, it's crazy. They said what team can bring us seven? I mean, what team out there could bring them 75 million or something crazy like that? So, but the fact that West Virginia is good in basketball, they're good in football usually, and baseball. The former ECU head coach Randy Mazie. So with that West Virginia, if you had like a lot of the sports writers are doing these different conferences, but West Virginia fits more in what they were in the Big East than they do the Big 12. So does when you have like a Marshall and App. We need to go back to regionalized conferences like we had back in the day. Obviously, we love being in the American because there has been some national teams, but they would fit much better. They're not going to do it money wise, I know, but definitely West Virginia fits. I was saying Kyle better in the old what was the Big East, now the American, than they do the Big 12 regionally.
Well, I mean, they did before. Now they got UCF and Cincinnati.
But that's only two schools compared
Right.
to
Well,
what
okay.
they
Well,
did.
here's your division. Your division is going to be, if they stick with 12, it's going to be West Virginia, UCF, Cincinnati, Kansas State, Iowa State. I like West Virginia's chances to dominate that division. So, they'll be fine. Believe me, they'll be fine. But Dave, I'm on. My internet is lost its friggin' mind, if you can't tell. So, unfortunately, I don't like Bubba's going to join us at any point tonight. So, I'm gonna wrap up my part. I don't know if you're going to go solo because my internet's going to just keep screwing up over and over. Hell of a win over Marshall. Like I said, best win in my opinion, and I don't know how anybody can argue it unless you just get your jollies off beating bad UNC teams. I think it's the best win since Ruffin McNeil was fired. Yeah, the NC State win in 2016 was good for what it was, but to come from 17 points down. Look, don't forget this Marshall team was in the top 25 last year.
They
Projected
were
to win
7-0, remember?
Yeah, projected to win Conference USA 2-0 on the season. So huge win. And from from a program standpoint, it couldn't have come at a better time. We had to have this thing, or we'd all be sitting here. Look, there was at one point tonight when we went down by 17 where, me and Bubba were really upset. Talking about we even want to go to the game next week. And now I can't wait to go to the game next week. So things changed in a matter of one quarter. And everybody enjoy it, man. Celebrate. If you're celebrating right
Burn
now,
some couches.
if you celebrating right now, keep celebrating. If you hadn't started celebrating yet, go crack open a beer. There's lots of football game on. Look, I think Hawaii kicks off at 12:30 tonight. So there's a lot of football left to be watched on TV. So enjoy it, and go stick your chest out when you go to church tomorrow morning. And unfortunately, nobody got to see the damn thing because it's on Facebook.
Yeah, that was. Hey, we talk about that real fast for a couple minutes? Because I listened to the game. I was going to ask you and Bubba, and I want to ask our great viewers and listeners.
Yeah, I'd like to know this too. Actually,
that. Can we talk about just a few minutes?
My feed at first was terrible, but as you can see, my internet's on drugs tonight. My feed was I never. It looked like I was watching it in about 480i. It damn sure didn't look like no 1080p.
Wow.
It was horrible. The quality of my feed at first, I was using the Facebook Watch app on my smart TV. It got better as the game went on, and I think this is probably my internet connection. I don't know. Everybody else speak on it. I thought the production was okay. I thought at times they, when they were trying to interview Red Dawson and Jack. What's the former head coach there? Jack. I can't think of his name. But they were trying to interview the coaches, Red Dawson and the other coach, the guy that was the head coach at Marshall. Their audio was terrible. I was embarrassed for CBS trying to interview those two, legendary figures in Marshall football history, and couldn't even get the interviews to come off right. It was what it was. I thought my experience with it was less quality than an ESPN3 broadcast. They did try to be very interactive with the fans watching, which I thought was kind of cool, kind of like we do. But overall, if you asked me to grade it, I'd give it a 5 out of 10, the broadcast.
By the way, Chuck has a comment for you. He says, Kyle, quit using dial-up.
Yeah, no kidding. I'm using Verizon cellular internet, Chuck. I live out in the sticks, and believe it or not, there's no CenturyLink or Suddenlink out here.
I understand.
So I'm using Verizon, and most of the time it's pretty good. Tonight it's giving me a fit.
And B-Pace chiming in. Thank you, B-Pace, for joining us always. I thought the announcers were okay. I used the Facebook Watch app on my smart TV. It was smooth.
Yeah, you probably had a better internet connection than I did, Pace. Like I said, I think the video quality was my internet connection early in the game. Announcers were fine. The color analyst, I cannot think of his name. He's done our games in the past. I like him. He's very smart. Huh?
Terry Gallagher knows him.
Yeah, he's very smart, and he called a couple things before they happened. For instance, he kind of predicted that the Marshall quarterback was going to end up throwing a pick on that last drive. But I like him. He does a good job. Play-by-play guy I could take or leave, but the analyst I like a lot.
We have more people chiming in. In fact, I guess it's a hot topic. Here's something that Kyle, maybe that Richard is asking about. Will we get any TV or Facebook streaming money for tonight's game?
No, that's the Conference USA TV deal. That's part of CBS Sports. Has a contract with Conference USA, and they put a handful of the games on Facebook instead of TV. So no, we don't get any revenue from that. That's Conference USA. The game was at Marshall, so it's on their television contract.
And Brendan's saying, I'm surprised that CBS Sports Network was on Facebook.
Yeah, they have their television games, and then they do a handful of games on Facebook because they don't have an ESPN3 platform or an ESPN Plus platform. So They, you know what? It's not so bad because everybody has Facebook. It's just
Right.
nobody knows to look for college football there.
Right.
So, but you know,
Well, Amazon, yeah,
go
you know
ahead.
how like Amazon is doing NFL games, so
Right.
I'm getting
Yeah.
used to like even though that's can be tricky too. Some of the NFL games, is it on the NFL Network? Is it on Amazon? Is it on
Yeah.
NBC, CBS? It gets kind of tricky there. But yeah, like you're right about Facebook. It's the fact that we're creatures of habit. I mean, we're not used to.
Nobody's going to stumble upon it. That's the thing.
Yeah,
If somebody said, "Hey, the East Carolina game, where's the East Carolina game?" and they tell you it's on Facebook, you go, "Well, how the hell do I watch it on Facebook?" You can figure it out because you have Facebook. But the problem when you have a game on Facebook is nobody's going to stumble across it. You're not going to have anybody flipping the channels to check scores and go, "Oh, East Carolina's coming back on Marshall. Let me stop it here and see it," or a recruit, or that kind of thing. So
right.
unless a kid was planning on coming to East Carolina, we were recruiting him, and he sat out to watch the game tonight. They're not going to see it until they check the scores. That's the bad thing about playing on Facebook versus a traditional platform.
Yeah, and Brian Dunbar, don't listen to TV broadcasters. Sync Jeff Charles radio broadcast with TV broadcast. Mute TV and use pause function on the broadcast to match them up much better. Brian, that's something I do both. I have radio and television. I haven't done that, but that would be much better. In fact, give a shout out to Voice. Great call tonight, and I was glad that we could paint it purple for him after all the losses he's seen in the last handful of years. After he's called, had so many legendary calls. This is his 34th season. Look up to him, admire him. He's a great person, and you want to talk about a great pirate. Was glad for him and Kevin Monroe. How about Marty Fuhrer and David Horn? I told Kyle that I'll put our broadcast up against anybody's for that. How about this? B Pays chiming in again. Ole Miss 61, Tulane 21. B Pays, man, Tulane. We that is Lane Kiffin's a great offensive mind. So great for them at Ole Miss for sure, no doubt. Um, Over 15,000 watched the end of the game. Post in the upper left corner of the screen. So there, no doubt about it. And how about thank you, Bubba, putting up there 7:59 left in the third quarter, 61-21 Ole Miss. That's just nuts how good they are. But again, that just goes to show you how that is. So uh, P Pace is asking about did anybody post Jeff's audio? If we could, we would. But we don't have the rights to Learfield. That's who has the rights for the radio. Or certainly we would have a lot of Jeff's calls up here. But if people are wondering, you probably already know that. If you watch this show, you listen to it. But I mean, as much as I love the voice, and we would love to be able to have that, but we're not going to violate their broadcast rights by doing that. Obviously you hear that same thing, all the ask permission and all that. By the time you ask permission, it's too late. So, but anyway, and Bubba chimes in. Check Pirate IMG on Twitter. Yeah, the Learfield. Thank you, Bubba, for that. And by the way, folks, does anybody have any final things you want to talk about? If not, we're going to. We're recording this and broadcasting. It's 12:24 Eastern time, so a long day for a lot of us. But if not, Bubba, I know that we've got a big game next week. Obviously, we'll have our Pirate preview on Thursday and our playback on Saturday night, most likely. But also, we have Marilyn Payne. She's coming on, making her debut. She was formerly a WRAL sports fan. She's coming on Tuesday night. So we'll have Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, our football, basketball, if you will, in sport thing coverage. So, Bubba, you about ready to? I guess we're about ready to get out of here, as we've. Looks like that pretty much everybody's asked everything they're going to ask. So, thank you, Brennan, and all the. I know he's chiming in. Appreciate you guys so much. Great game tonight. I'm happy to see the win. Go Pirates! A lot of heart was shown tonight. Absolutely. So. Anyway, Bubba, if you have that graphic, we'll put that up on the screen. We'll get out of here. We appreciate everybody. Rick says, I typically listen to IMG games on TuneIn tonight. They wouldn't let me listen without signing. They've gone to that, Rick. I had to do that. $9.99 a month. They just started that this season. So unfortunately for sports, I guess they finally got smart that they could make an extra 120 off of us for sure. All right. If nothing else, appreciate everybody listening, viewing. Thank you to Kyle very much. Thanks to Bubba, my friend. Appreciate you for producing behind the scenes. And until next time, you've been watching and listening. And this is the Pirate Playback right here on the Sports Objective. Good morning, everybody. Go Pirates.
ECU, Private Nation, Purple and Gold family. Stand to your feet, put your crossbones up, and lean side to side. Yeah, and lean side to side. Yeah, and lean side to side. Come on, yeah.